Scripture this morning is from the book of Numbers, which has a funny title, Numbers. I don't know how many of you have enjoyed this book. It's not one of the most popular books in the Bible. Think of it. Numbers. Maybe accountants like to read it. Financial spreadsheet people. I certainly don't go there, but I will say it's not really that about numbers. It is a book that the title in the Hebrew Scriptures is in the wilderness. So in fact, this is what I do. Go to the wilderness. And we were just in the wilderness, so it's a delight to read from the book of Numbers, or in the wilderness from chapter 27, verses 1 through 11. Listen for the word of God. Then the daughters of Zelophehad came forward. Zelophehad was son of Hepher, son of Gilead, son of Machir, son of Manasseh, son of Joseph, a member of the Manassite clans. The names of his daughters were Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. They stood before Moses, Eleazar the priest, the leaders, and all the congregation at the entrance of the tent of the meeting. And they said, "Our father died in the wilderness. He was not among the company of those who gathered themselves together against the Lord in the company of Korah, but died for his own sin. And he had no sons. Why should the name of our father be taken away from his clan because he had no son? Give to us a possession among our father's brothers." Moses brought their case before the Lord. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "The daughters of Zelophehad are right in what they are saying. You shall indeed let them possess an inheritance among their father's brothers and pass the inheritance of their father on to them. You shall also say to the Israelites, if a man dies and has no son, then you shall pass his inheritance on to his daughter. If he has no daughter, then you shall give his inheritance to his brothers. If he has no brothers, then you shall give his inheritance to his father's brothers. And if his father has no brothers, then you shall give his inheritance to the nearest kinsman of his clan, and he shall possess it. It shall be for the Israelites a statute and ordinance, as the Lord commanded Moses." This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
I know jet lag exists, but I think van lag exists too. "17 of us were in the gymnasium with 60 other Appalachian Service Project volunteers. They were from Cohasset, Massachusetts, from the Episcopal Church, the Congregational Church, the Methodist Church, from synagogues, from no church. But they've been doing this for 30 of the 50 years that Appalachian Service Project has existed, serving thousands and thousands of people. I can't really think of a better educational setting. I like education that's in the raw, that's right there on the front lines, because then we know it's real. We are focused, and the stakes are very high. And it's in this location that my heart went out. I grew up on the edge of Appalachia. My step-grandmother was a coal miner's daughter and one of Rosie the Riveters. And Alma was her name. She taught me to drink coffee and play cards. And she was a delight. She also took care of me when my mother was busy and gave me Ritz crackers with Philadelphia cream cheese on them. So there's a link to Philadelphia here. So there we were in this gym with all these volunteers. And it was Wednesday night of our week, and we went around to different stations in the gym doing a values clarification exercise in the Clay County Middle School gym. We were being asked to consider the choices that the residents of Clay County, West Virginia, have to make every day. Does grandma get the hours of home care she needs? Or does your niece, whom you've taken in, get a new front tooth implant to fill the gaping hole of a lost tooth? Do you sell off your 4.3 acres of land that has been in your family for 7 generations to move closer to town so that your daughter who had a stroke in utero can get the regular occupational therapy that she needs to improve her walking and her hand and her speech? Or as a young woman, do you move 40 miles west to Charleston to work a job and take out loans to start college? You're 17 and your option back home is to work at the Family Dollar store making minimum wage to save money for college. And if you wait, the probability of going to college later is very low. Do you eat the heavily processed food from the Dollar General store nearby when your son is struggling with allergies, or do you drive 40 minutes each way to get better food from the IGA? Well, our group was puzzled, frustrated, and a bit dumbfounded by the stark choices we faced in this exercise. Our response was, this is just too black and white. They must have more choices. The purpose of this exercise, though, was not really the right answer, was it? It was the purpose was to empathize, to have a sense of what they live with, and maybe to feel just a bit of the stuckness and the either-or nature of Appalachia. They were all real scenarios that had been gleaned from people in the project. And we walked away asking questions like, why not get more of the family to chip in and help out with grandma's care and the niece's dental bills? Why don't they have health insurance? Why not sell the old family farm of 7 generations? It doesn't really make any money, and move closer to town to receive the necessary occupational therapy. Why not just go to college, take out loans, and work at a higher paying job in Charleston? Or why not grow your own food, hunt the local deer for venison, and buy better food in bulk by mail order or each time you are closer to a city? For most people, this third way, or this alternate choice, is not really a choice. They probably have considered it, but the attachment to the values of family land, of hometown, of home church, of not getting into debt again, are more powerful than fixing these immediate problems sometimes. It is awkward for us to visit and then to second guess what they could do better. But I would say this is part of our big process of taking these steps in the lifelong encounter with those who are not like us, with those who are in unfortunate situations, from Broad Street Mission in Philadelphia to Nicaragua. And on this trip, in addition to serving our neighbors, we were being asked to experience a small slice of the desperation, the despair, and the stagnation of the white working class in America, and especially there in Appalachia. J.D. Vance, in his 2016 memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, offers an inside view of growing up in Appalachia, which he says increasingly encourages social decay instead of counteracting it. Vance's family moved away to Ohio to work in a factory. But they ended up in a housing development with other folks from their county, from Appalachia, and they brought the social decay with them. the patterns, the addictions, some of that mentality. Vance helps us to see the stuckness of staying and even attempting to change, but mostly the only way to change is to leave. His grandmother helped him to get out. He was a student, he was bright, and he worked hard. And he went on to Ohio State and to Yale Law School, and he got out. His book helps us to understand how this region stays in dire straits, but his only answer was to leave. And especially not to carry this pattern with you, but to marry someone else, not from Appalachia, and to join the new culture. So many of us are familiar with Appalachia and the struggles there. One of our members' husband grew up in Clay County, and we've seen documentaries. We know a bit about it, about the logging when the full region was logged, with very little money returning back there. And then the mining rights were sold off with some sleight of hand, perhaps, and the whole region was mined, thus polluting most of the water in the immediate pollution and creating very difficult working conditions and living conditions all around. Then came mountaintop removal and strip mining. All of this, I will say, was at the expense of the people, the land, and the community. So many people have tried to stay and to work with the economic resources they have left. I actually had a moment where I could speak with the basketball coach at the Clay County High School. He was at the gym working for free in the summer, volunteering his time with about 40 boys who were playing summer ball. He had groups of them coming through, and they were doing their summer workouts, and he was lightly coaching on the sideline. He took me aside and showed me the flood damage from a few years ago. The school was built right next to the river. And he told me about how he looked for money and how he went to the Fola coal mine, part of a giant conglomerate energy company, New York Stock Exchange company, how he went to them for assistance and applied for a grant. And they had done a major mountaintop removal mine in 2012. It closed. And very little money stayed in the county to compensate for this amazing removal of resources. They did give about $500 to the school. And I saw online that they gave a few thousand here and there to various things around West Virginia. Apparently they are philanthropic because they give the big money to the universities and the cities. The long and the short of it is, not much stays behind. One of our finest American thinkers and writers, Wendell Berry, has written for his whole life about this kind of crisis, which is not only an Appalachian crisis, but a rural and a farming crisis. In his Jefferson lecture, It All Turns on Affection, Berry recounts yet another story of rural exploitation from his family's history. The Duke family had a complete monopoly on the tobacco crop in Kentucky, and the story goes that his grandfather went to get the annual reckoned amount of profit from their tobacco, and he came back. The family was waiting with great expectation for the boon, the great money that would come in, and they broke even. It was subsistence farming yet again, and the price was set. So Wendell Berry's grandfather went on to form a cooperative to help work against that, and they're doing it again with beef and local meat now at the Berry Center in Kentucky. So Berry's answer in It All Turns on Affection was that there was something missing in Duke and in this whole monopolistic kind of way of doing business. Though it was legal, there was something missing. And the missing ingredient he points to is a word that may sound a little strange to us, but If we give it some time, we may take it in. He says it's affection. That we need to have this movement of the heart and the feeling for one another that transcends our systems and our economies, transcends profit margins, where we actually have to care for the other. We have to have affection for one another so that we can find the fairness and the justice that God requires. Brothers and sisters, I'm with you for this brief time, and one thing I love about this church is that we don't skirt the issues. We take them head on with an authenticity, and we don't pretend that these crises don't exist. We do, in fact, need to face them. Families, youth, and stock sale supporters sent our youth down there. It's not a cost-effective venture. It is a life-changing venture, one that is to move the heart. It was great to feel supported as our group of 17 went down for this classroom in the woods. This classroom in dirty old houses. This classroom with people who have big hearts. We know this church has sustainable outreach going on all the time. And it may never seem like enough. This is our work, though. Today's scripture is about 5 women, 5 sisters, the daughters of Zelophehad, who could have given up when the laws said that their father's inheritance would die off with his death. Everything in the culture was working against them during this time in the wilderness. The context is they're waiting to go into the land of Canaan. The mood of slavery and the mood of failure needed to die off. There were ongoing rebellions, as many as 20 or 30 rebellions by the people. But these daughters, their father did not rebel. He remained faithful. And they were about to lose everything he stood for. So instead, they appealed to Moses for justice, who wisely appealed to God to solve what seemed unsolvable. Mala, Noah, Hagla, Milcah, and Tirzah courageously stepped forward in front of the whole assembly at the entrance of the tent of the meeting. These 5 sisters decide to claim their rights against all public opinion, against all social mores. Together they go out of their tents without being called forward by anyone, which may have gotten them in trouble in the first place, to a place where only the high-ranking men congregate, to the place where the tablets from Sinai rest in the ark, to the place of absolute holiness and authority, to a place where women did not have any authority, and they speak with determination. Our father died in the wilderness. He was not one of the rebellious faction of Korah. He has left no sons. Let not our father's name be lost to his clan just because he had no son. Give us a holding among our father's kinsmen. Well, these women knew their law and their history. The current law is not adequate, for it does not take into account the unusual circumstances of a man without sons. And they possess the acumen to recognize the omission, an omission in God's law. But because they consider God's law to be just, or at least to aim to be just, they show no hesitation in pointing out the unfair nature of the present situation, and with complete confidence supporting their claim with compelling arguments. This is a time for justice. This is a time to be bold, to follow these women. Laws were changed at their possible expense, yet somehow they lived through it, and the law changed. If we consider God's law to be just, and we know our law and our philosophy and our history that undergirds all of our laws, We must stay on the road working for justice. As we celebrate our nation's birth this week, may we look inwardly to our Christian tradition, to the best of our Christian tradition that is thoughtful, reflective, critical, and grounded in biblical truths that transcend any kind of literal interpretation. Let us look inwardly to our faith and to God's ways of justice that invite us to open our hearts, to feel God's law written on our hearts, to love one another, and to seek God's justice even when we have to go out of our comfort zones like the 5 sisters, the 5 daughters of Zelophehad.